What's up, everybody? I'm Dank PHART, the pirate poet. PHART is spelled PHART, is an acronym for pretty hot and reasonably talented. Thank you so much for being here with me tonight. I am here to go into depth of my NFT members subscription platform and educate you on what a 21st century art revolution can look like, and developing a full circle art economy where the fans and the artists can mutually thrive together in a way that's never been possible before. I truly believe that NFTs and the blockchain are the greatest tool ever to come out to support independent art business. And so that's what we're going to get into tonight. Thank you all so much for being here with me. I'm going to start off with a poem. This is titled, Excuse My French. I'm a fucking poet with panache veins and drain brains. With words, I break bones, split lips, and take big shits on mediocrity. I ask what happened to democracy. Been bred as sheep for corporation nation. Education meant to break will. Sit in office towers, 8 hours, day in, day out. That ain't what life's about. Smash windows, burn down cities, proliferate the soul, let it burn bright. I do drugs, not because I didn't get enough hugs, but because I am in love with insanity. I was created by rules, saw they were for fools, yet still I graduated from school. Proved a point, it's okay to smoke a joint, jump through society's hoops, threw them for a loop to wrangle the burning orb of life and bring it crashing to earth. We're currently living in the greatest time ever to be an artist. The means of production are more available than ever before. The cost of equipment is becoming more affordable than ever before. And the means of distribution and control of your art are all literally at our fingertips. For what it would take probably to even run this platform that I'm this recording right now would have probably, 20 years ago, $10,000, $20,000 worth of equipment, and having a big room and all this. Just the overhead was just pretty much was the gatekeeper for a lot of the ability to even be an artist. In order to record an album or anything, you had to have a full recording studio. Now you can in your bedroom build a recording studio that has the same amount of professional capability that a full-on recording studio would have for recording. Having mastering and audio and all of that, mastering the audio and all that stuff. That's not a equipment necessity. That's an individual necessity, and you still have to pay the individual, because we are here to support people and make thriving communities at all levels, and not just the artists, but every level of it. And so then also with social media, that is your way for cultivating and building your audience. So the ability to build your audience is more available than ever before. And if you are dedicated and you have a little bit of support team and do a little bit of research, you can build a decent social media following. And it doesn't have to be hundreds of thousands or millions to get your foot in the door to really provide a solid foundation for yourself as an artist. And then with platforms like Patreon, or what I'm using is Buy Me a Coffee, to get the artists the fans to support the artist directly. It's kind of like the seed to table movement in the food industry coming to the art industry. And now with Web3 and the blockchain, it takes it to a whole nother level. Now the fans won't just be offering a monthly contribution to the artist because they like the art and they get an inside look
into what's going on, which is already a very successful model. They get to actually have ownership in it. And as the artist goes from emerging to established, the art will appreciate, just like in the traditional art market. Anytime an artist goes from being relatively unknown in their or just known in their local community or unknown to being more well known, the value of the art always appreciates. And now with NFTs and the blockchain, that will be able to maintain itself forever. And so the art that is launched at the beginning of the artist's career can continue to support them through sales on the secondary market and getting royalties. And also within this, and the ability to build your audiences on your own terms without having to go to the gatekeepers, you can crowdsource the startup capital for your art brand without having to go to the traditional industry players that would be a record label or a publishing house or whatever medium you work with, and going to those traditional players, and they take a large portion of it. If you were to go get a record deal or even a book publishing deal for a book, they would negotiate the startup capital in advance, is what they call it, for the selling of your IP. And so you would give them the rights to all of your work and make a little bit off of the sales of the work, but you would be basically an indentured servant until the money is paid back, or you would also be having to create X amount of pieces of art, what I like to call artifacts. I like to call them either digital or physical artifacts, but just pieces of art that are created that would be traditional, well, in this modern terminology, be called content, but I like the word artifact. But you are on their timeline of when you get to create. And also, you see in the bottom hand corner of the slide, an article from The Guardian. It is an article that was about the artists, specifically musicians, that would get themselves signed to a record label, and they were all excited about it because they've been working underground gigs, and that was like the dream, was to get signed by a label. And then labels sign them, and then they've been with the label for 3 or 4 years, and they're not putting out any music. In fact, they're not even creating any music. And if they create music on their own, they are contractually not allowed to put it out, because the only music that they can put out is if it comes through the music label. And the label is focusing on different artists, and they're not putting any resources. And then you're just left there as an artist, not getting paid anything and not able to create as well. Or there's also been stories of artists where they have their whole album put together and the entire everything is ready to go, and then the executives decide to put it on a shelf, and they invested all of that money and all of those resources into it, and now it's just sitting on a shelf, and the artist has no recourse, and they put all their blood, sweat, and tears into it, and now it's just sitting there, and there's no, I mean, it doesn't make any sense to me. Like, why, as a business person, would I ever invest in something that I then decide is just not going to be usable, especially when the amount of energy that it takes for an artist to want to put something out, and it just doesn't sit right with me as a creative individual. And so with NFTs and Web3, that will never happen, and they'll be able to cultivate more diversity of artists as well, because it's not a single entity that has a very narrow vision of what they want to put out, because they're looking at their bottom line instead of actually putting out art that might be not quite the norm. And so the traditional industry is looking for things that will guarantee their returns, and so they're playing safe bets, and they aren't making bets to win artistically. They're making bets to win financially. And so the art itself is becoming more stagnant and more repetitive. And so that is not beneficial to the fans, because as a fan of artists, not just an artist, but as a fan of art, I want to see more art out there in the world, more styles of art, more diverse content. But even if I don't like it, I appreciate it, and I want to see more of that out in the world. And with NFTs and Web3 supporting independent artists along with their fans, it creates that opportunity where there is more art just being put out to the world, and more of those artists being supported, so that they can continue to grow and deepen what they want to do and remain with their own authentic expression. Because there's also stories I've read about artists getting signed into record labels, or and then the producer is like, oh well, we want you to do this style, and it's completely different than what they've been creating, and they got signed for what they were creating, and then all of a sudden the producers and the executives are like, well, we want you to do this, and it was like it's completely different than what the artist has been doing their whole life, and it just doesn't make any sense. Like, why did you sign them if you're going to completely change what they're doing? I am open and really value a producer that would guide me towards expanding my sound. But if they're trying to completely change my sound for monetary needs and to make it pop, to make it the what they want, it completely devalues and doesn't give agency to the artist that was creating whatever they were creating and how they were creating that attracted them in the first place. And so this is why it's the greatest time ever to be an artist. And also, if like on top of all the things that I was talking about within the price of the instruments and tools of creation are more affordable than ever. Also, the access to learn how to use those tools, just going to YouTube and typing in how to edit video or how to edit music or whatever, you can get whole just large hours of free educational content that can teach you how to use these tools. And so we're really at a special time, especially with NFTs and the blockchain. I really just feel is the final piece to make this art revolution really fully viable. And who am I? Well, I am Dank PHART, the Pirate Poet. I have been working tirelessly for the past 13 years to develop my art brand and build myself into a thriving artist. I have been here in Colorado for the past 11 years. I moved here from Iowa City, Iowa, where I got a degree in theater from the University of Iowa. And for these past 11 years here, I have been heavily active in the local art community, also the psychedelic community and permaculture, and really thinking about how we can create new systems, not just for artists, but for all of culture. And we can create a feedback loop that really empowers all people. And that's why, for me, when I first heard about NFTs, I was really keen on them because I saw the opportunity for how you can create beneficial opportunity for the fans and also the artists, and really creating a feedback model that empowers the whole community. And a lot of my inspiration from artists are like Beach, Jack Kerouac, and Allen Ginsberg, but I've also studied a lot of different art movements throughout history, and I'm just really inspired by the creative impulse in life. And I believe that creativity is one of the highest forms of energy in the entire universe, in my personal opinion. And so there's just so much opportunity, and I have been working tirelessly in this regional community. I've worked at a lot of the biggest festivals here, Arise Music Festival, which is no longer a thing, but also Sonic Bloom Music Festival. And I've worked in various capacities, from emceeing stage, for doing poetry, coordinating poets, being there as a writer. I've worked with a cafe called Starwater Cafe, which is a festival cafe. And I've really been boots on the ground, really understanding what it is to operate an art business and how to hold and cultivate community, with the end goal of providing a foundation for myself so that I could be a full thriving poet that also is supporting more art out in the world. I remember it was right around probably fall 2009, so we're roughly 13 years ago, probably right around almost right now. And it was after having studied Ginsberg, the Beats, and Kerouac in college extensively. I was thinking to myself, all right, so I just graduated college with a degree in theater. How do I make money as this? How am I going to support myself in this? And especially as a poet, because poets traditionally are all, it's like theater too. I mean, like those are two of an actor and a poet are like two of the hardest things to build a financial foundation out of. And the thought, right as I was thinking that to myself, was, oh, make successful art community and just then plug yourself into it. And so that has been the foundation of what I've been doing for the past 13 years, is just tirelessly putting myself in the midst of art community and art organizing and figuring out what it is to be an artist and to operate an art business and develop community. And so all of that has given me the foundation. And now I am ready to continue to step deeper into this work and thrive. And with NFTs and blockchain as the backbone, it is something that will continue to support me for the rest of my life, along with my fans, so we can really create a thriving community and ecosystem. I don't like steroids, but NFTs and the blockchain, essentially, you could say it's like a fan community on steroids. Or you could just say that instead of steroids, it could be a fan club on a very healthy regimen of abundance and high energy food and all kinds of good things. So they're strong and healthy without being on steroids. Believe in yourself. No one else, it's required for your success. Because that's really the key, is like how we can believe in ourselves and also create opportunities for other people to believe in themselves. And so as an artist, me stepping into my power, is part of it is showing other people that they have the permission to live their life and the dreams that they want. And this next slide is encapsulating the full circle art economy. This is kind of like, if I've studied permaculture and have my permaculture design certificate, this is kind of like the permaculture design loop of figuring out how to get your yield and store yield, and then putting it back into the project to continue to feed it and grow it. And so you can see here, it starts at the bottom of it, with that lovely group of rainbow beings that buy NFTs, and that helps fuel the foundation and the startup costs for the brand. And then with those startup costs, they then move to investing a little bit in marketing and business support. And with that business support, the artist would create more notoriety and more awareness. And from there, they could build their campaign to getting featured on podcasts, or maybe some even network television and blogs, and all of that would continue to grow their audience, especially like that kind of media. When you are being featured on a blog or a podcast that has 10,000 plus listeners, and then from there 100,000 plus listeners, when you are having that many people listen to you, it really amplifies your ability to grow your audience. And then from there, the NFTs will appreciate in value, because that's what happens in the traditional art, in the art world. Just like in the traditional art world, you can look at any artist that went from emerging to established. Their art is always more valuable when they are established. And with NFTs, it's a lifetime. It's immutable. It's never going anywhere. And if it does go anywhere, the entire system's down. And at that point, we need to just be taking care of each other and gardening and growing food. So then from there, as the NFTs and all art related to it is appreciated in a value, then they can be sold on a secondary market for a return on support, because I feel like these are not people investing in the art, they are supporting the art, and the return on support is just a bonus onto what they are already doing. And also with me as an artist, or if artists are offering the NFTs for a low-hanging fruit value, and they're not trying to sell it for six figures or even thousands of dollars, the value is the return doesn't have to be excessively high in order to see a good margin. Like if you buy my NFTs, one of my poems that'll be on the open market for $13, and I'm going to be in editions of 9,000, that's $117,000 for a poem. That covers my needs. And then from there, as my brand grows, if you were even to sell it for $200 and you got it for $13, that's a good return. And if I was able to invest in my business, and like right now I'm at like 1,000 followers on like Instagram and like a couple hundred on Twitter. But if I had some resources and I grew to like 50,000 to 100,000 followers on Instagram or Twitter from my small meager following that I have now, and you were getting an NFT for $13, my NFTs would greatly appreciate in value from that small thousands to hundreds to 50,000 to 100,000. And with a marginal marketing budget, it's very feasible. It really isn't that difficult to grow on social media if you have the resources and a team to support you doing the work. And then from there, there's also royalties that go back in to supporting the artist, and that goes right back into fueling the spaceship of opportunity that we are creating within the artist, and it just continues to feed itself, continuing to grow for the life of the artist and even beyond the life of the artist, because this is immutable. And so if an artist passes away, they could pass in their will, they could have their NFTs and the royalties given to their kids. So the art that they made could be earning their family and supporting their family in perpetuity, forever. Because I guess that's what perpetuity means. And so it's something that original art can continue to sustain for lifetimes and continue to grow and create cultural value for the world. And I like this fine, beautiful gentleman there. That's Vincent van Gogh. And I believe that if he were alive today, he may have not committed suicide because of the opportunities that are available. When he was in his lifetime, he was rallying or would rail against the current standards of art. He worked for an art dealer that was one of the main tastemakers of his time, and he would talk about, or Van Gogh would talk about how he didn't believe that the aesthetics were any good, that the way that they were trying to portray the images was stale and not accurate and not very lifelike and just really dead. But he ended up getting fired because he didn't like the style, and it was kind of his same issue throughout his life. He was building new styles that the world wasn't able to understand or accept at the time of his life, and he ended up committing suicide. But in today's modern era, with the internet and NFTs, the gatekeepers and the individuals that are trying to codify what it is to be it and be in style are no longer preventing people from getting their work out to the world, and can create opportunity for themselves so that the independent artists can thrive, and we don't no longer have to be having our lives be continually oppressed because the world isn't recognizing our genius till after we're dead. And now Van Gogh is one of the most valued artists on the planet, and that is happened time and time again, where an artist is pushing forward in style and the way that they are showing up and representing their art, but the gatekeepers are not open to it, and then it leads to a lot of depression and psychological issues because of the stories that, if someone's continually telling you that what you care about is worthless and it's ugly and awful and whatever, it's going to create stories in yourself that are not positive. And so now with the NFTs and the ability to grow our audience, we no longer are bound by those strict gatekeepers that are preventing diversity and artists from sharing their voice in the world. And so the value of an NFT for an artist is, traditionally an artist's work at the beginning of the career is less valuable. And then as the career grows, it becomes more valuable. And with NFTs and they're being collectible and limited editions, generally, you could make an edition that is infinite, but then you would be devaluing your art as that, which could be something that you want to do, but that's not what I'm working on. But so then the art that you create will then support you throughout your life with royalties and by being sold on the secondary markets. And so as your art career grows and it becomes more valuable, it continues to support you. And within that, also royalties are paid on all future sales. And so if I was a painter, I am a poet, but a painter, let's say you had a physical painting and you have a one of one physical painting, and the traditional art market, once that painting is sold, it then is in the hands of the collectors, and it's just getting bought and sold and appreciating in value depending on the artist's career. And but the artist that painted it or made it is not seeing any royalties off of it. But with NFTs, you could attach an NFT to that one of one piece of physical art, and anytime that that piece of art is sold, the NFT moves with it, and with the sale of that NFT provides royalties to the artist that made it for the life of it, so that as long as it's ever being sold, it's continuing to support the artist. So it creates a much more dynamic system to support the artists themselves. And then also over that, the artist has the ability to build their career on their own terms and will never get their work shelved. That, like I was talking about earlier with some of the people that I've read about, where they get signed to a record label, they have their whole album produced, and the record label the executives and the producers put all this time and energy into it, and then as soon as it's done, for whatever reason they feel like it's not a good market or it's not a good opportunity at this time, they shelve it, never for it to see the light of day, which is just insane. Talk about a waste of energy. They probably get some tax write-offs for some crazy shit for that. But that won't happen. You'll get to be in control of your art and put it out there into the world. And if it resonates with people, they will enjoy it and share it. And the fans themselves weren't going to be being spoon-fed, being told that this is what's popular. That, because with top 40 radio, people just assume like that is what is the best music that's out there because it's getting people are calling and asking for it, but it's really a paid racket, and the top 40 Billboard is not an organic market. And so from there, also the fans get to be a part of it. And so the artist gets to be directly in relationship with their fans, and the fans are the foundation of their art, the wealth of their art, not the foundation of their art. And so they get to be along with them and get to directly ask what their fans would like to see and participate in the brand development and be like, hey, what is something like really cool that we would want to do, or like something wild, like what's some for inspiration, so that it really creates a really cool direct community between the artists and the fans, which is just, in my opinion, really rad, because fans and the artists, there's just a really special relationship there that this empowers to a whole new level. And finally, for the value of NFTs for artists is no longer having to rely on gatekeepers to become a successful artist. It's now really the ball is in the artist's court. And if they are dedicated enough and willing to put in the time and effort, they can cultivate an audience and create an empowered model for themselves. And they don't need millions, they only need thousands. And if you get a couple thousands to get your initial startup going, from there you can grow to 10,000 to 6,000 to 100,000 to potentially millions. But you don't need any of that, because the goal is to be a working artist, not a wealthy artist. And if you do it properly, you will grow into a wealthy artist. But first and foremost, the goal is to establish a viable working model to be a working artist, so that you can grow with the comfort and support that you need to fully embrace your creative life. And the value of NFTs for fans, well, first off, fans have never been able to really participate in the wealth generation for an art brand, even though they are the foundation for all the wealth in an art brand. If the fans aren't buying any of the art, then there is no value for the art brand. And so for the first time ever, fans will be able to participate directly in the wealth cultivation. And that's just really amazing. It really is super revolutionary. And they can also directly support the artists, and they can know that the direct support that they are giving is fueling more of the creativity that they were inspired by in the first place. And they can know that it's not going to just pay for a skyscraper out in LA and some executive suit to make six figures or probably millions, well, without actually caring about the art and only looking at a spreadsheet to figure out how to have the most marketing and the most safe art to invest on with this, with return in mind. And the artists can also, within this, since the artist is not selling their IP, they can do profit sharing. This still has to kind of be worked out because their SEC is looking at how they can regulate things. But an artist would be able to share the wealth generation with the fans, their super fans, because they didn't sell their IP to the record labels or the publishing industry. And generally, if you're selling a book or a record from one on a contract with one of those traditional players, you're only going to be making 10 or 15%. So if you're an artist and you're making on your NFTs, you have 100% of the profits, you could give away 30 or 40% of those profits to team and also fans and different things, and still be making a vast amount more than you would in a traditional contract. And then finally, more artists empowered to create what they want and with their authentic voice, which is good for the fans because there's more opportunity for them to explore and hear new sounds. And as someone that is a huge fan of art, I love to discover new things, and I really don't participate in the mainstream art industry because the majority of what's coming out is just kind of similar clones of what's out there, and it's just kind of a repeat of itself because they're making safe choices, looking at spreadsheets instead of actually evaluating the art aesthetically. And with this new model, we only need thousands of fans to support our foundation. There is something out there called 1,000 True Fans, and it's marketing some artist people have done about art business, that you don't need millions of supporters. You only need 1,000 true fans. For me, I'm working on building 3,333 true fans, but those true fans and just a couple thousand supporting you consistently and buying your art and you putting out consistent art will provide a foundation for a successful art career that can be making, 6 figures a year by having those consistent income from a few thousand supporters. Then the supporters know that they are directly supporting the artist. That feeds more creativity, so there's more art that's coming out into the world, and it creates just more energy and more creativity for the artist to thrive and to have more art that the fans love. So the fans get to experience more art. And now with NFTs, they also get to participate in the wealth generation. And there's all kinds of different things you can do with NFTs to support the community. And for me, the whole goal is to sell with a low costs, low hanging fruit value, where with high volumes of distribution to get my needs met. And then the fans will make the high ticket sales on a secondary market. And looking at a traditional art market in music or a book, you don't make $1 million by selling an album for $1 million or a book for $1 million. You sell 1 million copies. And so it's different than a traditional piece of fine art where you sell a painting for hundreds of thousands of dollars or $50,000-$60,000. And so the volume is, and for a low-hanging fruit, for me, is where it really starts to make some magic, because then as the brand grows, the fans get to be the ones that sell it on the secondary market and really make the high ticket sales, and everybody gets to win. And it's really beautiful. And so my NFT membership subscription platform. The intention is for a low costly membership contribution that provides the base salary for myself and the team. And my ultimate goal with how I'm developing my business and my brand is for it to be a model where I am sustained by the low hanging fruit at a high volume. And it's my fans that really make the big wealth. And I am sustained by royalties and my base income from my membership subscription platform. And me, the artist, I get to focus on making more art. I get to finally publish my 3 books, and I'm putting together my 4th book. And so I've put together all of this work over the past 13 years and 16 years of writing, but I haven't really put it out into the world yet because I've been focusing on the back end and developing community and infrastructures for artists to thrive. And now with NFTs, it really is the final piece to bring this over the line. And so within this, as my artist development and I have more resources to support myself and a team, there will be a continuous amount of artifacts. And again, artifacts are what would be considered content, both digital and physical. But within that, collaborations and just being out and about, producing events and putting out my books, there will be an endless flow of artifact creation that will be able to feed my NFT membership subscription platform. And, as an artist becomes well established and well known and has a high cultural value, pretty much everything that they do becomes something that can hold value. And so it becomes a collector's memorabilia catalog that just continues to grow and mature along with the artists. And the dedicated fans get to participate directly in brand development. And for all of my NFTs on the open market, because all the NFTs that are available through my membership subscription platform are going to be exclusive to the members and only in editions of 3,333. And all of my NFTs on the open market will have 11% of profits that go into a pool for the community. So for every $1 million in sales, there will be $110,000 for the community to do whatever we want with. And I'd like to have us vote on it. And I think the first thing that'd be really cool to do with the first $110,000 off of the first $1 million would be throw a huge 3-day epic party where everything is paid for, and you as a member just get to come and participate and throw down and just make new friends and celebrate this beautiful, gorgeous life together. And then as the SEC develops and figures out how they're going to potentially regulate things, I will develop profit sharing so that on the open market, there will be a percentage of all sales that go into a pool that just gets distributed to my hardcore fans that are part of the members. And why I would be able to support that is because I have my base income met by my membership subscription platform. And so gives me more leverage to offer more opportunity and share the profits from the open market. And how I'm going to get my first $1 million on the open market is I'm going to put together 10 poetry NFTs, which is just my poems with some visual background, and editions of 9,000 for $13 a piece. And then that selling 9,000 of them at $13 a piece is $117,000. And at 10 of those is over $1 million. And selling 9,000 once the brand is really built up and has a reputation isn't incredibly difficult. Yes, it is a lot of work, but with a strong team and a strong foundation, it isn't out of the question. And then we'd have $110,000 to do whatever we want with. We could also, maybe we don't want to throw ourselves a party. Maybe we're feeling very philanthropic and we'd like to contribute to a really important cause and give $110,000 to something that's really rad and making this world a better place. And so it's whatever we get to dream up. And with the decisions for what we do with that money will always come to a vote in community. And so the numbers are for what I'm developing is, so for $33, you'll receive a monthly NFT package, and that monthly NFT package will be poems, eventually videos, and just also content that comes
from me as I'm working, maybe handwritten notes about some thoughts and inspirational quotes that I come up with, and just a diverse package that will continually grow as I have more resources. And so to start, it will probably be mainly be my poetry NFTs, some from social media, some that I make exclusively for the community, and a wide range of just interesting artifacts that are cultivated and grow from the work of being a fully thriving artist. And this will also then, with that capped at 3,333 members, this gives me $109,000 a month, which is enough to support myself and a small team to a level of thriving, and also full on social media and marketing and all the things. And that will allow my brand to grow, which will appreciate the value of it. And I will go from this emerging artist to a more established artist. And so join the ground floor of an art brand leading the way for an independent art brand in the 21st century. And so you get to be a member of an art brand that has the potential for 50 plus years of creation. I'm almost 37, and live into like 80 or 90. That's a lot of years still to create. And if something crazy did happen and I ended up dying, the value of my art would probably just go up. So you're in a win-win situation. Community, I'm an artist that's community led, with an opportunity for unique fan experiences that will be fueled by the success, and you will get to participate directly with me and as the artist, and be a part of the wealth generation, and also get to be on my inside team of Dank PHART Creative and what we are developing. And so you'll get to have direct say in what we do and where we go and how we develop, and be part of a brand that is steeped in building, supporting art and community. One of my ideas and concepts for my tours that I do around the country and probably the world, it comes from the foundation of myself as a community organizer. I want to go to towns and communities and cities and work directly with the local artists that are already there and already have themselves established, and do a multi-day event that features some workshops, some open mics, and then a featured event that has some local music, some local poets, and some vendors. And so wherever I go, I use the larger audience that I have for my brand to activate the local community. So then when I leave, there is a more activated local community scene that is empowered wherever I go. So that built into the very brand of what I'm creating is a foundation for more artists to thrive and for more community to activate. And lastly, a brand built on the foundation of historical art movements that moved the peg in creativity and cultural narratives. And I mentioned that a little bit earlier, like the Salon des Refus, where Napoleon was convinced to allow these paintings that were by like Monet and various different or expressionist artists, when that was not the style of the current in fad during Paris when Napoleon was in leadership. And he let them do their salon, and everybody really liked it, and it became completely changed the way art was being created. And that also happened in 1920s Paris with the expats. There was Dali, Hemingway, Fitzgerald, Gertrude Stein, many, many big artists. And anytime there's a group of artists that are coming together and discussing their medium and talking, it always affects the way art is created in the mediums, and creates a major leap in style and taste, and also culturally, and moves us forward, and probably has some physiological transformations as well because of how we perceive things, and probably changes the philosophical understanding of the world. And the journey never ends. It's all just a bend in the eternal road of nothingness. Find your work and let it drown you. Pour your heart into it. That is what we are here to do. We are here to shine our most creative, empowered life in a good way for us all to thrive, and that's NFTs and the blockchain provide a whole new opportunity for fans and artists to come together and thrive in really beautiful, magical ways. I'm gonna read
So what we're gonna do is we're gonna play for half
a
an
couple
hour.
poems to finish off the night.
I got it to go home and grade, but
This piece is titled
Lafayette.
Relationship Earth.
Well, if you can
The
crash
earth
and
is our relationship. It is the ship upon which we have our relations. All is relative, born from deep darkness, light playing games in a black box theater, dream world, woven tapestry of eternity, embrace sacred connection to all. Our mother speaks to us through plants, spirit guides blind pilgrims through flames, lay down control, submit to the divine, activate sacred snakes of spine, flower your love to blossom third pine cone, enter gateless gate, breathe channels open, project into timeless eternity, still here sitting breathing, still here on this relationship. We have to learn to love ourselves. We have to learn to love each other. It is the only way to fit through eye of needle, past self through self. When we all hold hands, there will be no more walls. Curtains drawn back, wizards shown light, shamans bridge worlds. Night will marry day. Night, truth will prowl streets naked. Life will be sacred dance to commune with unseen. Higher state dimensional highway, road of life, paved with fractal truth. Ego strings confuse syncopated beat, disharmonic frequency, crumble frail material dreams. Poems leap from page to knock an empty notebook open, lines ready to be written, scratched into eternity's tomb. Spiritual howls and wilderness, savage ecstasy, danced by fire, empty of thought, filled with experience, reflection of mere held and balanced relation, spun sacred myth on mystic wheels, fingers tapped an empty void, beginning was word, minds got blown, busted soul, expression calls out for love, art is sacred reaching for holy truth. My truth is limitless, it flows with awareness. Quit your job, start the real work. Go dance like God is watching. Duality split itself upon my razor tongue. Life sprung forth from lunatic language. Dreams bird from goddess womb. Worm wiggles its way to shake hands with death.
No. That'd be fucking. That is some connection.
And this piece is titled Crumble Reason's Ivory Tower to Liberate Our Native Tongues. Stumble forth, journey home to truth. Humble ego because we all creator's greatest gift to humankind. Go by heart cut guts. Every way is the right way. No one crosses finish line till we all cross. Drop out of the race and join the dance. Work never ends. Play is job. Share your gifts freely, yet know your worth. The earth needs your best. I believe in you. Perhaps that's the only reason you exist. I believe you can make peace on earth. I don't care if it's crazy. If that's crazy, sign me up twice. We have to be the 37 cents we wish to see in the world. A new story can start right now. Art activates from creative fire. Energies reach through bodies. Sonic driven geometry. Encoded murals galactivate bejeweled wisdom. Let us be Johnny Appleseed with metaphysical seed bombs of magnetic heart attraction, embodied, connected knowledge tree, snake spine wisdom, grounded in experience, mystery sipped, muse vision riders, medicinal linguistics, twist philosophy, lost mind, Zen parking lot, engine run eternity, missed the orange parking Cohen, failed test to reach nirvana. Somehow I lost my Tao and found myself here. Freedom can only start now. It may be a future now, but when it happens, it will then be now. Yet it is now, right now. Who wants to be crazy with me and believe in world peace? Live a life of dreams, fly too close to the sun on imagination's wings. If we don't believe, who will?
Yeah, you should.
And y'all should subscribe to my NFT membership subscription platform on Buy Me a Coffee, buymeacoffee.com. All the information is down here on this final slide.